another week goes by and nothing to report as far as they're going to get a deal done. But at the conclusion of mandatory minicamp, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both seemed confident that a deal would get done by training camp. This is Andy Reid on the situation. Quote, so Chris wasn't here, kind of like last year, the same type of deal. That's his choice. So he chose not to be here. I'm sure he'll be at training camp. Brett Veach at the ring ceremony last week also had mentioned we have great communication and there's a lot of time before camp. I'm sure we'll have great dialogue from now to the start of training camp and look forward to Chris being here, not just for next year, but for a long time. Also, 2 days ago, Albert Breer reported that a deal would get done. The team was confident that a deal would get done by training camp. So obviously last week you told people to relax. So how are you feeling right now after we hear all these reports and all the guys talking about it?
I mean, it's exactly what I thought how it should happen and how it was going to happen, right? I mean, I know we kind of talked about this ad nauseum with the whole Chris Jones being signed deal, but look, man, like Brett Veach said, it's not if, it's when. That's what it is. So we know Chris is going to get signed. We know this deal is going to get done. My thing is the timeline. Is it going to be before training camp, or is it going to be? I said, man, it might go into like a week or 2 weeks before training camp. It could be the possibility, but nothing shocking about this at all. And when I say people to relax, is they are committed to Chris Jones. We know what we have. We have the best defensive tackle in the league, right? And arguably the best defensive tackle in the league. Okay, some people might say Sam Donald, not Sam, Aaron Donald. That's Sam Donald. Aaron Donald, and look, Chris Jones. Come on, man, he's right there with it. So I'd say the defensive player of the year should have been probably potential. He was definitely a candidate for it. And so when you have a guy like that, you want to sign him for a long-term deal. You ain't playing around with this. But what it does is, because they had to work all these details out, it's going to free up money somewhere. And I think that's what they're trying to work out as far as like how they're going to structure the contract long-term, how's it going to work, freeing up some money, maybe to get some other guys here. Maybe Carlos Dunlap is like, hey, maybe we had to wait. You might be talking about that. And so we don't know. We don't know what this, as far as like getting all those details worked out. That's the different thing. And so that's why I say, man, everybody just relax. When it comes, everybody goes clap. Hey, great job. Chris is here. He's a Chief for life. And that's what it's going to be. So, like I said, man, I mean, Brett Veach said it himself. And so there's no reason why this deal shouldn't get done. So there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, when I saw these reports, I thought of you right away, like telling everybody to relax. A lot of people who were scared that we're going to get Tyreek killed with the Chris Jones situation. You saying to relax on the whole thing. I think what he said about and why people, you see reports all the time, but like having your GM come out and say not just for next year but for a long time. Okay, it's clear that there is no like BS going on. They actually want him here for a long time. And they're going to make him compensated for it. Definitely, he's one of those guys that, like we said, you pay him and you don't think twice about it.
Chris Jones, like I said before, is equivalent to Patrick Mahomes on offense. He is. If you're looking at somebody who may be Tyreek Hill, I hate to say this, but it could be Snead. It could be somebody like in that name, or Gay, or somebody they may be thinking like, okay, how is this going to work? That could be more so still a shocker, right? Not to have any of those guys here, but if they're trying to get a long-term deal, they're thinking, who do we take? Who do we prefer? Prefer Chris Jones. He's a difference maker on defense. He is. So we ain't found anybody in draft that looks like him. They can do what he can do. We don't have anybody on the team that looks like him and can do what he can do. We just don't. It's hard to come by in the NFL. It really is. So he was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. And so that's the equivalent of Patrick Mahomes on defense for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Actually, no, I think it came out after the fact, but so that was at the ring ceremony. I think the red carpet before they went out and show the rings, which are badass, by the way. But someone had saw that Chris Jones wasn't at the event, and people were like, "Oh man, things aren't good. Chris Jones wasn't there." And Chris Jones replied with some random person online. That Chris Jones replied to the tweet saying, "I was sick." So he was sick. That's why he wasn't there. There was no bad blood. I mean, he was literally at the White House with the entire team a couple days prior to that. So there's
Right.
no bad blood.
Hold on. He was just at the White House. He was just there. So, oh man, we can take everything, man. I'm telling you, this like just dissect it to the point. It's just like, oh, calm down, cool out, just cool out. Let them handle all of that, man. Just I get it. When your fans and heck, when it's somebody as significant like Chris Jones, you definitely don't want to let that go. So I don't want to. I don't want to sound insensitive to the fans. I don't want to sound insensitive whatsoever, right? Because there's been things done like Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you can always go to that, but like, hey man, shoot, you see what they did with him?
Mm-hmm.
I see that. Chris Jones is a whole different animal. He is. We need Chris Jones on that defense. We need him.
Yep.
Period. Chris Jones, 95. The defense, the Chiefs need on defense.
Yeah. And plus, not only was he at the White House, he was front and center during the entire thing in the back. Yeah, he didn't get on the mic. I don't think he was even mentioned by Biden when he was talking about the run to the Super Bowl. He didn't mention his name, but Chris Jones was literally in the middle of the entire presentation of that whole thing. So yeah, he's a pretty big deal in Kansas City, and obviously Brett Veach knows that, and Patrick Mahomes does too. He talked about it ad nauseum as well. So yeah, I think everyone just needs to relax, and I think everybody can relax now, and knowing that everyone is on the same page of where Chris Jones should be for the long haul.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be a Chief. We know that
for life, not just this year, for a very long time.
Long time. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.